right, I think we only have 10 seconds left until 18th anyway, so I hope you guys are coming back and we can start the next session. So, Lan, can you help share the PowerPoint maybe?
Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Yes, I think it's starting to share. All right, okay. So welcome back everybody. I think it's 18 past already. So we are going to move on to the next and the last segment for today's activity. Can you all hear and see me and see the screen properly? Okay, thank you very much. So I hope that you all had fun with the recreation activities led by the planning team. And I'm sorry to my group as well for some errors in between, but I hope you all had fun nevertheless. And as I said, we will now move on to the last segment of today's program, which is the introduction on ISC67 committee members. And some of you might be wondering why? Why now? Why are we introducing ourselves now? So please allow me to briefly explain about why I am going to explain to you, or why we are going to explain to you about like ourselves. So as you know, the conference in each year is planned, organized, and managed by the committee members who are university students. The committee this year, formed as ISC66 last year, ended in September. And our term will end as soon as this year's conference, ISC67 main conference, ends. As we would have to pass on the torch to the next year's working group in around a month time, we would like to ask for your time and attention in hearing about what we normally do, hoping that some of you who are interested, in becoming a committee member next year will eventually apply and take on the torch. In regular years, this committee introduction itself is also held right after the interim report. So I hope that you will enjoy our replication of previous year's programs also. Okay. And Lan, I think you are not sharing the screen properly. Like it's not showing. Okay. All right. And the way we select the committee members varies every year. However, typically the previous committee would select the next year's president first, and only then will the new president pick his or her own new teammates. We are still debating about how we should execute the selection process since we are running the entire program this year under a unique circumstance, but it is more likely that us, the ISC67 committee members, will pick the new president first and have him or her to pick the new teammates without our interference, as I have mentioned earlier. Okay, so before anybody else, I think we would try to sort out or try to pick the new president first. So for whoever who is interested in becoming the next president, you are highly encouraged to get in touch with me as soon as possible, because I think it's a role that perhaps requires the most explanation. But this principle also applies to any other roles. So as Lan has already mentioned in the schedule, our committee members are always willing and able to answer your questions regarding their role, and today a handful of them will remain after the official part of today's meeting around 9:30 Japan time to answer any of the questions or concerns you might have about the role. So if you'd like to talk to them directly, please don't miss out on this chance. You remain for about 30 minutes after the official part of today's meeting. Okay, so today we will deliver our presentation in this order, and I think Lan is going to show the structure. Okay. I, the president, will start first, and then I will pass it to the vice president, the finance team, academics, external affairs, public relations, planning, general affairs, table chiefs, cameraman, and we will end our presentation off with some explanations on what we call the advanced study tours that was actually canceled this year. Each of us will tell you what they do when their busy season is, who the ideal person for their role is, and what they gain from the role. And they would also give a quick recap on how things had been like in the regular non-COVID times. So perhaps referring to what happened in IC65 and before. And this is a big disclaimer. Whether or not the conference next year is held in person or held online will, of course, depend on next year's president's vision and his or her coordination with the new working team. This is something that I or ISC67 committee members cannot speak for them. As you listen to the presentations, you will notice that some of the tasks require your presence in Japan as well as your Japanese proficiency, but those may not be the case if the conference were held online. Anyway, please listen to today's presentation only for your reference, and keep in mind that things might change depending on the direction and circumstances of the next committee. Having said that, whatever position you are interested in, it is of most importance that you are flexible and adaptable, especially working under unusual circumstances. Okay, and I'm gonna admit JL to the room as well. Okay. Technically, the committee member must be a university student. This year, for example, we have said that everybody must be a student as of June 1st, 2021. So if the same rule applies for 2022, those who are in the fourth year of the university at this moment might not be eligible for the selection unless they are clearly going to graduate school right afterward. But again, rules might change. So that may not be necessarily the case. In any case, even if you are living abroad, doesn't speak Japanese, not eligible in terms of studentship, or if you're not even interested in becoming a committee member next year to begin with, I hope that our presentations would still give you a chance to understand us more in terms of what we do behind the scene, nevertheless. Okay, and we would also be grateful if you could spread the word about the upcoming committee recruitment with your friends and family who might be interested in joining our conference and actually be the management team. Okay, so I hope that it's pretty clear to you. So without further ado, I would like to officially begin this segment, and I hope that you will enjoy our presentations. Okay. All right, I think I will start with myself. So I will be now introducing my role, the president. So can you move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so of course there are many jobs as a president, but if I were to, select only a few things that are really, really important, I would say that in a nutshell, being a president is being the face of ISC. It means that you will have to attend sponsors events. You would have to be the one who select your own teammates, and you are responsible for all ISC matters. So if there's any accidents or if there's any, any errors that are going on within the team, you are going to be the one who is responsible for those matters. And because you are going to be leading the team, of course, people come from different backgrounds and they have their own opinions, but you are going to be the one who is generating those opinions and be the one who's making the final decision. And lastly, as for the job of the president, you are not only, connecting and organizing your own team, but you are also bridging ISC with the rest of the world. And in this case, it means that, getting more connections, getting more sponsors, finding, people to collaborate with, and you are also trying to promote the organization to the wider society as well. So I hope that you understand my job in a nutshell. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so what is great about this role? While I said that there are so many responsibilities, but what is still great about this role? First of all, you get to create and steer vision together with the team. As you are going to be, at the forefront of the team, you're going to have to set the vision and also generate opinions within the team and see what is possible and what is not possible. What do we want to do and what do we not want to do? And I think that it's a great experience for you to be able to, take on the team and also steer the visions together with people who will have several who are like-minded with you. And you also, of course, get to connect committee members who come from various backgrounds and different countries even. So I hope that you also get the experience of, diversity, and you get to guide the team through the various tasks. So what is great about this role is that you do not focus on just one role, and you do not focus on just one specific task, but you have to understand the entire picture of the team. So I think that if you are someone who is interested in multiple jobs, perhaps being the president would also give you the opportunity to do so. And lastly, it's not just understanding that year's role or that year's circumstances, but you also need to understand the entire past of how ISC came to be and how it was in the previous years. And you also want to envision towards the future, trying to set the guidelines or trying to pass on the torch to the next year's committee as well. So you are actually understanding the past and envisioning the future at the same time. Next slide. So who is a good fit for this position? Of course, the first one is responsible person. You have to be committed to checking emails and Slack because people will be asking you questions, people will be sending you concerns. So I guess that if you cannot be responsible, perhaps being a president is a difficult task for you. The second task or the second point is that you have to be caring and compassionate. Being a president, you have to work under pressure and you have to, being in touch with a lot of people with different needs and backgrounds. So you have to be supportive of your teammates who may not be at the same pace and at the same page. And you have to, try to be supportive and help them as much as you can as well. Thirdly, you need to have a clear vision. You cannot lead a team without having with without the vision. So you have to be open to the diversities of ideas, but also directional at the same time. You also need to be able to see the whole picture rather than just one focus point. And lastly, but this is more technical, and I don't know, as I said, it might depend on next year's, but it would be better if this position, the person in this position can communicate in Japanese, because you might have to go to sponsors events and make courtesy calls to various organizations in Japan. So if you cannot speak Japanese, then it might be a bit of a trouble here. But as I said, the direction might change. So let's see how it goes. Okay. So now next slide, please. So that was the end from my part, and I would now pass the mic to Vice President, and Koma will be presenting on behalf of the Vice President position. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for me for amazing introduction. Hi, my name is Koma. I'll introduce the Vice President. So Ran, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, you realize that among us. Yeah, it's correct. So Vice President is like in one word is like supporter and fixer for committee and like participants. So this is a task for Vice President. So mainly the like decision making and support, as I mean say, the role of Vice President is support for committee and like participant. With the committee members, Vice President will be asked to finalize and revise the committee works. And also like one of the main tasks of Vice President is to support for President. So third is the paperwork, and you need to like process the paperwork. It is like a characteristic of like Vice President. And fourth is a critic. As like means you need to consider that if the plan or idea is realistic or not. So sometimes you need to be like criticizer, sometimes is the biggest supporter for committee and participant. So can you go to the next slide? Oops. Yeah, like how to divide the role between I and Shiki. Yeah, the one point is I want to clarify is like in general, like Vice President is only one. The one Vice President is taking care of like all roles. But this year is like, thank you for me put like two Vice President, I and Shiki. I mainly taking care of EA, external affairs, general affairs, public relations, and sometimes ISC alumni planning. And Shiki is like mainly taking care of finance, academic planning, and like external affairs and other like tasks. So can you go to the next slide? So where is the busy season? Like all day, all night, all years. Yeah, it's joking. So, so can you go to the next? If I need to pick from February to April, it is important to pace yourself because you are like basically busy all year. And in my case, I spend most of the time is like from spring break. The committee members had also had a vacation, so they became more active in Slack. So for example, I was looking after the like EHE. So I was preparing for like crowdfunding and planning team. With the planning team, I prepare for like committee, participant introduction sessions. So can you go to the next slide? So when you became the like vice president, there are the benefit. Yeah, I can pick like critical thinking, like time management skill. Like you can get a lot of skill, but I want to emphasize the most biggest one is that you can get lifelong friends, because you will work with amazing person and years, not only committee members, participants as well. So next. So then this is like person who fits like vice president. The first is love ISC. It is the biggest engine. Sometimes you will face like difficulty, but you can overcome the situation if you have like passions. Second, if you like to learn team building, vice president is a good role for you. Yeah. And third is responsibility. As like me say, you will be the like decision maker, so that you need to like responsible for task. And fourth, like if you'd like the comfortable to do like individual work, you can fit like vice president, because vice president need to process a lot of paperwork. But like please note that this is just okay. This is just example. If you are not have like this kind of skill, don't worry. You can improve it during the like ISC68. And this is like in online circumstances, you need to take care of like text-based communication. We mainly use like Slack and the mentor station members. Now, for example, like this is just example. If you are not have, I have like some kind of idea to like bond connection with between the committee members and the participant as well. I and Chris try to plan for club activity, and I and Yoshi is like organizing the working session, and I am now is organizing the Insta Live to get bonding. Yeah, this is I think one of the work for vice president. And in online circumstances, we can track for he or her. I mean, not only participant and the committee members, we cannot track for her. This is like difficulty for one during the under the online circumstances, I think. Yeah, I think next is last slide. Now can you go to next? Yeah, so thank you so much for listening. If you're curious for vice president, please feel free to ask to I and Shiki. And I hope next vice president can find among us. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. So next is, I think, Shiki. Yeah, Shiki will introduce the finance.
Okay, hi again, everyone. So for me, I would like to just explain about the role of finance. Next slide, please. Oh, next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much. So in compiling in one words, financial is the monetary support. They're going to manage all the aspects of the money, from like gathering the money, or like first how to gather money, how to use the money, and also how to deal with the bank, or like some other foundation, or like companies. Next slide, please. Here's briefly, here's we have mainly three three jobs of the finance. First and second, first gathering money from foundation, and this is one of the biggest activity for the finance. This is we are going to do apply for the foundation, which donates for us tons of money in usual. So in usual, and most of the deadline will be before the end of the year. So just after we study the new ISC, we start to gather money as soon as possible. And at the same time, we are going to plan the annual budget. So not only for writing the application, we are going to ask each committee how much money we want to use, or like what kind of event we are going to plan for the new ISC. And compiling others' opinion, we are going we analyze, or like how much money we are going to need this year. And these two tasks is what we do just after the new ISC launched, and after a few months, or like after the conference, we are going to make the account sheet. That's the like compiling all of the receipts data and summarize it into the one sheet. And that will be kind of like the a kind of the report for annual report from the number or like the monetary aspect. Next slide, please. So maybe from this explanation, finance role seems to be a little difficult, but like not so much. You need as a capability is these three things. The first one is that who is eager to get money. We are going to through the finance job, we are going to negotiate with foundation or like some companies and also with the committee members. So like if someone who like to negotiate with others or like who want to get more connection outside of the ISC, it will be suitable. And the next one is who wants to make visualize data. It means like we are going to use like kind of like spreadsheet or like Excel sheet and make analyze and compiling the data visually. So like if someone like to make the graph or like to see the number, I think it's very, very suitable. You don't have to be good at mathematics, but like if someone like the calculation, it's more preferable. And last but not least, someone who loves money. So like if you of course like if you too love to steal some money from the ISC bank, it would you will get some punishment. But like if you love to get contact with money every time, I think it would be the most important talent to be a finance. And lastly, one of the attractions for the finance is that you can analyze your data actively and our activity critically and with an realistic. So every committee member has a diverse idea, and someone raised some really, really interesting, but like really, really ideal idea. So like finance will be kind of the stopper who raised the idea critically, or like raising idea from the monetary issue. So like it will be necessary involved to complete the activity. So if you want to, if you got more interesting about financial, but and also about money, please let me know. And let's talk about the money or financial issue. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Shiki. So hello, everyone. My name is Lan, and now I will explain to you about the role of an academic person in ISC. So first, let me talk about the main job of this position. An academic person will be responsible for recruiting the discussion leader, whom we call the table chief. So normally there would be 6 tables, and accordingly 6 table chiefs, but it can differ depending on the year. For example, you can see this year we only have 5 tables. After the selection of table chief, our job is to support and be the first responder to them when problems happen. We will mainly help the table chief with recruiting the table members, with the planning of the discussion, and giving them guidelines about the final outcome. We will also need to check the progress with them once a month in a monthly meeting. Giving workshops for table chief is also a part of the job when you provide table chief with the skills that they need to manage their table. And lastly, we will also be in charge of finding and contacting potential mentors, as well as the recipient of the final product. Our busiest seasons fall from November to April, which is when the table chief and participant recruitment happens, and also towards the end of the conference, around July to September, which is when we prepare for events and the final outcome submission. I think a good fit for this role would be a very responsible person, as your work is the contributing factor to the success of the main conference. As you'll also be working with professionals and potentially ministry, this quality is very much stressed. I think not only for academic, but also for other positions as well. We all need to be responsible to be able to have a great teamwork. You will also need to be very caring and considerate towards the table chief to support them when they need. And while being a academic in charge, you will also encounter many new concepts and interacting with people from various culture and background. So keeping an objective viewpoint is also important. And lastly, if you are someone who enjoys learning new things, then I think this role is a very good fit for you. So there are many things that you can get or improve if you become an academic in charge. So you would have the chance to meet very passionate table chief who knows a lot about their topic, which are very closely related to sustainable development goals. And you would also be able to acquire a lot of knowledge from them as well. Other than that, you will have the opportunities to get in touch with experts, especially when you are looking for mentors or recipient of the final outcome. So I think this is a great chance to learn from those professionals. And lastly, throughout the process, I think you will have the chance to learn and improve in many aspects. I have picked a few main skills that I think I have learned and improved a lot. For example, email writing, facilitating meetings, because you will hold monthly meeting, as I said, problem solving, and I think the most important thing is time management, because you are going to manage many people at the same time. It is important to learn how to organize things so that you can get to them immediately when you need. Okay. So for this role, the main difference in this year online version of IC is that almost all of the meeting is done online. While in a normal situation, you can hold a meeting with table chief offline, or have face-to-face meeting when getting in touch with potential mentors. But as you know, mostly in this year, we held everything online. And so that's all for the academic role. Thank you very much for listening. And I would like to pass the mic to external affairs.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Hello, everyone. I'm Nao and Yuka. We are in charge of external affairs. I hope you understand our role well. Next, please. So first, what is your image of external affairs? To put it briefly, external affairs build the ISC network through making a fun of ISC in the society. We mainly contact people outside ISC and convey the terms of ISC to them. Next.
Thank you. Now, in my part, I'll briefly explain what jobs we usually do. So mainly, we can divide our task into 3 categories, which is corporate sponsorship and crowdfunding, and alumni networking. First, corporate sponsorship is we approach companies or organizations that could be in harmony with ISC topics or theme of the year. And through sending the emails and setting up meetings, we approach them and request sponsorship. In many cases, joint projects with company are also born here. And next, crowdfunding. This is one of the opportunities to show up IC to the general public. In this job, we set up a web page and expand our project through social network and our own connections. And lastly, alumni networking. The alumni network is essential for our continued existence as an organization. Alumni are not only our senpai or mentors, but also very important supporters. EA supports this networking with PVP by holding some events and for reporting on our activities to them. So yeah, please go to the next slide. And yeah, let me give you a quick overview of the schedule of our position. You can adjust the scheduling flexibly, but this year we had this kind of schedule as shown on slide. Maybe you can see the slide. And also we regularly communicate with alumni during this time. I hope that my part has given you some idea of what external affairs do. So then I will now pass the mic to now. Thank you.
Maybe Yuka.
What?
Yuka-san.
Oh yeah, I was okay. Sorry, this is my okay. So we thought who is ideal person who is a good fit for this position, and we thought the 4 characters. First is people who like to talk, and second is responsible, and third is who is interested in outside of ISC, and lastly, this is most important, ISC lovers, because we have to show our attract to outside of ISC. Next.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next, please. Okay, thanks. So through these experiences, you can get some benefits. Today, I will tell you just 3 things. First, we acquire impersonal skills. So especially in component sponsorship, we exchange emails, we send some emails and have interview with the company. So you can practice negotiations also. And second, we can attain a deep sense of fulfillment. Especially in crowdfunding, we spend a lot of time for preparing. That's why we can get great joy from achieving and we can feel the visible results. And third, we can have a connection with outside of ISC. Through our work, we can connect beyond roles inside of ISC and also outside of ISC. Okay, next. Okay. So I will explain in normal IC jobs. So we have some preparations for final forum because in normal IC, we had a final forum offline. So we have some preparation for it. And next, please. Okay, so this year we had online IC, so we have some special preparation. Like we change the way of company visit, like most companies conduct an online interview. And also about the method of PR of crowdfunding, we increased the number of updates of crowdfunding on SNS. And also we had a collaboration with other organizations. Okay, so that's all from the external affairs team. Thank you for listening. And if you want to know more about external affairs jobs and benefits, and also Yuka and me, feel free to contact us. Thank you. Hi.
Okay, so thank you, External Affairs, for the presentation. And hello, this is Min Hua from Public Relations, aka the PR team. Today, the PR team would like to introduce some details of this role. Our catchphrase, which is on the, it's the first slide. Yes, thank you. So our catchphrase, which is on the bottom left part of the slide, is introduce the world to the charm of ISC. We selected this catchphrase because we hope to promote ISC activities effectively to the public through various social media channels, and at the same time, maintain our global network of supporters and participants. In this presentation, I will be presenting the first half, and Soma, who is the other peer member, will be explaining the second half. Next, please. So to begin with, we would like to introduce you to the three main roles of PR, which are social media management, content creation, and official website management. So first, we manage social media platforms by keeping up with Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube by answering messages and regularly uploading posts and videos. Next, for content creation, we prepare social media contents as well as artworks and videos in both Japanese and English so that both Japanese and English speaking audiences can access our content without much difficulty. Lastly, the PR team manages the official website by regularly updating necessary information on the main pages and the ISC blog. In addition to these roles, intercommunication with the committee members is really, really important. Since there are some works that cannot be done solely by the PR team, depending on the situation, the rest of the committee members from the other teams willingly help us, which we really, really appreciate, and which at the same time can be achieved through good communication. The busiest periods of PR are the participant recruitment period, which is from February to April, and the main conference period, which happens in August in usual years without the pandemic. Next, please. The ideal person for this position is someone who is or who tries to work hard, to be creative and consistent in preparing their works and active in communication. Moreover, we would like to recommend this position to those who are interested in marketing, media studies, and video editing. The benefits of working as a PR member are that it allows you to have opportunities to do real PR work actively through various social media channels and build skills for video editing, art creation, text preparation in both Japanese and English. I will now hand over to Soma for the next slides. Next, please.
All right, so hi, I'm Soma and I'm also in PR, and I would like to also explain about the difference between last year and this year. So the biggest difference is the existence of a photographer. Last year it was a physical meeting or conference, so that's why we required a photographer, whereas this year it's an online setting, so that's why we are doing it all on screenshot. However, the consistent work such as content creating, promoting events, and managing several online platforms is consistent. So you are always required to have the skills and the mindset that Minhua has explained in the previous slides. And lastly, our next slide, please. Next slide, please. So I guess like the last messages is that there's a lot of skills that you may need to acquire. So please have a challenging mindset to always be ambitious to learn many skills, as well as trying to make new ways for opportunities for ISC to grow as a brand. Thank you for listening. Next.
Okay, since I have problem with technical things, then I'll let other people help me with sharing screen. Thank you, Ming.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ming. All right, so hello everyone. Hope you are still alive to hear the next presentation from us. So next we will explain about the team who are behind the scene of all the all the games that you already done, like Mafia game, anything. So can you guess what is this? It's a planning. Yes, I don't know. So in planning, there is me, Selmi, and Yoshi. Yoshi, if you can wave. There's Yoshi there. Okay, I think I will explain. Next slide, please. Okay, so first of all, I will show you what jobs we have done, and perhaps you also will do it if you join the planning team. So as you can see from our job board, we basically conduct 5 main events. So the first one, there is a committee trip. So even you will that you will make in the future that in order to make committee members bonding with each other. And the next one will be, there is like events in Advent conference. We will take a part to have a game in Advent conference as well. And the next one will be having monthly cultural events. So such as June activity, July, August, and usually start from Advent conference until main conference. And next one we have an information session to introduce ISC to the Japanese resident. Student, and then last one we have recreation event, the things that we did before after interim report. So yeah, during that process, however, in the middle of your work, you also can initiate any new events such as working session or like any things that you want to create. And next one, I will explain about the events that the time that we conduct the event. So from October to December, you will usually need to plan your first event, such as committee trip, and we're just conducting a committee trip for the new committee members to get to know each other. And during January until March, since at the period of the recruitment, so you need to do the information session or explanatory session. And April, June to July, August, you will have we need to make plans for the Advent conference and also the monthly cultural event. So April, June, July, August, basically same. However, like it's only like June, it's June activity, and July, and then August activity. Next slide, please. Yeah, all this with the blue color, all this with blue color actually our busy period. So I think everyone will say that it's quite busy, but in reality, is it fun to do so because the deadline and pass was set by us, so there is no much pressure if I could say. All right, so I think Yoshi will explain the next one. I don't know, sorry. Previous slide, please. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sumi. Okay, I'm Yoshi. Following to that, I will explain who is the ideal person to fit the team. We could say that if you can be responsible, creative, lively, flexible, and problem solver, we really welcome your application. Actually, you don't need to have all these, but if there is 1 or 2 or 3 from these personality you have, it's really good for you to join us. Next slide, please. Okay, next we will give you a brief explanation about the main benefits you will get if you join us planning. First, you will have more time to bond with either committee or participants. It is, of course, because you are the one who connects them in a fun way. Second, planning could have fun vibes to communicate, fun jobs to work, and fun people to connect. Third, you will learn several skills here. So I could say you can improve many skills such as decision making, problem solving, etc. Last, in planning, you will find many new, unique things so that you could learn new things. Next, please. Thank you. Last but not least, I will explain about the difference between our job normally and the online version. I guess you are wondering what we usually did in the normal version. Of course, in the normal version, we will have several events conducted face-to-face or offline, such as recreational activity, advanced conference activity, etc. Also, regarding the information session, we usually went to some university to do a presentation. And then because we usually have participants coming to Japan, we will have offline trips in Japan for both domestic and international students. However, because of the COVID situation, we need to shift everything to be done online. The one that brings benefit is that all the events are easier to plan when it's online though. Next, please. I think that's all from us. Along with the presentation, Bob, it's also wrapped up the presentation from the planning team. Thank you very much for listening and looking forward to your application. If you have any question, you can ask me or sell me after today's session ends. Thank you.
Hi guys, next I will be talking about the general phase. Next slide, please. So the catchphrase for this job is when in doubt, is your job. You know, the general phase, the general phase stands for you have to do everything. I mean, you don't have to, but like you should always have the mindset that, you know, be prepared to help with everything. Next slide, please. So during a normal ISC, you will be involved with recruitment and the process when the participants have to apply for visa, when they, after they have been accepted. And finally, during the conference, like the physical conference itself, you have to help out with the day-to-day activities. So in general, I would describe what we do in general affairs, like we have to convey precise and necessary information to any party who needs it. So what this means is that, you know, during recruitment, you have to email participants, try to tell them the how to apply, answer their questions, or if there's any interview to be arranged, you need to tell them also. And on the other hand, you also need to collect the data from participants and get them to the table chief, for example. So next slide, please. Because of this job, you know, you are involved with the recruitment. So that would be, you would be busy from February to April. So this is when we start to recruit people. It means that there will be application coming in. So you have to sort the applications. You have to reject the ones that do not conform to our standard. For example, you know, like missing some elements. So that is from February to April. From May to August, in a in-person IC, participants will have to apply for visa. So you might be busy as well, because there are always all kind of things that can go wrong when people try to apply for visa. And during August, during the conference itself, usually for in-person ISC, it will be a 9-day event. So during that 9-day, participants have to stay somewhere. You know, during the conference, we have to rent a venue. So a lot of things need to be prepared in this kind of situation, so that things can go smoothly. So you basically have 3 busy periods. Next slide, please. So who would be an ideal person? Well, first, never ever say, I thought it's not my job, because there's no defined, like there's no strictly written rules on like what you have to do. If you can, if you think that you can assist with something, you should always do it. Participants, they can communicate us like through different channels. So if you see an email that you think you can forward it to the correct person or alert the correct person, you have to do it. You cannot just say like, oh, I thought this email doesn't concern me, so I will just ignore it. And second, you should be responsible. And being responsible means that you should pursue a task until its conclusion. So, for example, when the application starts to come in, right? Some people, they might miss some elements in the application. For example, they forget to send in their photos. So you can just choose to say that, oh, this application is missing something, end of story. I will just like throw it into the trash, for example. But you know, you can always think that we are always lacking in the number of applicants, and the applicant can be promising in other ways. So you have to take your own initiative. to contact them, try to get their application in order so that everything is good to go. Yeah, and that is the third point also, being able to take initiative and do anything that we have IC function smoothly. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits? Well, do you like to help people? Personally, I like to help people, you know, just to, I think helping people is a benefit in and of itself. We like to feel useful. Nobody wants to feel that we are not contributing anything. So general affairs, the kind of job that you can contribute to a lot of things. You will also become very proficient as at making and drafting email. And I think this is not something that is trivial, because in your work life you will have to send out a lot of emails also, and a good emails, you know, get the point across and, like, you know, can solve the problem. It's about communication basically. And finally, you get to see, like, you know, how things are organized, because again, the general affairs mean that you have to stick your nose in, like, the business of every other department, but basically like to communicate with them and talk to them. Next slide, please. So I would say that for general affairs, I see the general affairs person will be way busier during a normal ISC, because, you know, participants have to obtain a visa, then they have to come here, they have to think, like, help them with getting from the airport to the place that we stay in, that kind of stuff. During online ISC, we are only busy during the application period, and after that there's not much going on, so that will be different. Next. Yeah, so that would be everything for general affairs.
Yes, so this is Chris, and I'm gonna talk about what table chiefs are. And yeah, the catchphrase of the table chief is behind the scene leaders of ISC, because table chiefs are more like the connecting links between the committee and the participants. So yeah, there are a bunch of things to do, like behind the scene, but it's also very, like, you know, like, I think productivity in one of the most, like, productive moments in your life as well. So yeah, let's take a deep look into that. So please go. Yes. So what's TC after all? Yeah, you know, TCs are expected to manage one table, usually composed of around 10 people, 5 from Japan and 5 from like other countries, with full responsibility. And, you know, although we are, like, acting hand in hand with the AC team, we also have a lot of flexibility in our work. And, you know, as you can maybe imagine, the success of ISC really lies in your hands. And yeah, the actual tasks include, but not, like, you know, limited to, deciding on the topic, creating a timeline specific to your table, conduct screening and interviews, as you have all experienced, I guess, and, you know, communicating with outside mentors, speakers, etc. And this is where you really can be flexible. You know, you can just invite any, like, professors or specialists related to your table topic. And as you guys have seen, TC's like main job is to organize table meetings and to finish writing the policy proposal or business plan as a final outcome. Yeah, and what I want you guys to note is that, you know, recruitment of TCs is you know, usually happen around November, so it's actually later than other committee members. And yeah, our busy seasons is like pretty much from March through August, and especially August because we gotta finish writing the policy proposal, right? Yeah, and also please take note that there will be around two table chiefs, two sub-table chiefs in each table. so that they can really, be a strong support to the table chiefs. And yeah, so like please be assured that you're not the only person to get the burden of the table tasks. And please go to the next slide. Yes. So who's the good fit for this position? I would say it's those who will like hands-on experiences of organizing a conference with full responsibility and flexibility. So I think this is a very like traceable skill to your like social life as well, especially after your graduation. And also those who have strong interest in a particular global issue, such as let's say participatory urban planning or nuclear weapons or whatever you're interested in. And those who would like to experience a leadership position, although it's a kind of like small group of people, it's still a lot of tasks to manage and catch up with everyone. So it's going to be a good opportunity to grow as a leader. And also those who would like to closely communicate with participants. Table chiefs are the closest ones to communicate with participants. So yeah, this is also the very good point, one of the good points of this position. And let's go to the next slide. Yes. So what are the benefits of taking this role? I would say you can experience in managing a group of people toward the tangible outcomes like policy proposal. And you also can get to know students from all over the world, sharing the interest and passion with you. So, you can just see how diverse the ISC members are, and you can discuss one specific topic from a lot of vantage points, viewpoints. So this is very like exciting point. And also you can deepen your field of interest through the discussions. So these are pretty much all about the benefits. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the differences between in-person and online ISC. Yes, so usually in person, the main conference is in about 2 weeks. So the contents are concentrated in a shorter span than the online format. But, as you can imagine, you have to physically come to Japan. So you have to like allocate more than 2 weeks, yeah, solely to this activity in ISC. Yeah, on the other hand, if we're in an online format, the main conference is going to be held is expected to be held in a longer span, like 4 months for ISC67. So we really gotta keep commitment and communication as constant as possible. And also, you don't have to come to Japan. So it's gonna be more flexible time-wise. Yeah, so that's pretty much all from table chiefs. And if you have any questions, please contact your table chiefs or just me. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so hi again, everyone. I'd like to explain about the role of the cameraman, but like I think like PR team have explained a bit. So like I would like to make the presentation shorter. Next slide, please. So cameraman is a role to take over ISC moments to the next generation. They will be more active at an offline event. Next one. So the role of cameraman is quite simple. Just take cameras as much as possible with lots of committee members and edit video. The biggest role is taking camera cooperate with other committee. You're going to take tons of pictures of participants, landscape, event moments, and so on. Even you are going at the offline event, you can interrupt the discussion of other table and spend a few minutes for the taking picture, or you can also take a view of the discussion within a table. And also, you're going to edit and share the video at final forum. In general year, cameraman takes video too and makes video to share at the final forum. This is the toughest but the most memorable activity. Next one, please. So, of course, those events will be held at offline, but and what's going on at online? online, as Pierre said, we are going to mainly edit the picture of the screenshot and sharing at SNS like these beauty images. So though it's gonna be a little simpler, you can still like cooperate with the ISC through the editing picture or like editing movies. Next one, please. And here's the ideal person who the most important thing is who loves taking an edited picture. Like having a nice camera or not doesn't matter. If you like to take picture, even your smartphone or like small camera will be fine. If we are always welcome. And who is active but considerable. And who is energetic to take lots of picture, but also consider about others' guests. So like if even you can interrupt the discussion, but like you cannot. It doesn't mean like you can hinder the discussion a lot and spend lots of time for taking pictures. You should also be considerable and also like take care about the atmosphere. I think like next we are not sure about the next year ISC, but like we are also welcome for the cameraman. And sorry for my presentation in the row. Lastly, I would like to explain about the advanced conference. I think most of you do not know about the conference.
Sorry, not advanced conference, advanced study tour.
Yes. Okay, sorry. Sorry for that. And let me explain about the advanced study tour. So I think most of you have a question like, what is advanced study tour? In general ISC, which we held at offline event, we have two kinds of study tour. Next slide, please. One is like advanced study tour, which was held throughout Japan in mainly 6 places: Nagoya, Kyoto, Osaka, Kobe, Okayama, and Kyushu. And the next one is the main study tour, which held during the ISC conference. And we are going to trip to the very famous place or like cultural place inside of Tokyo. Next slide, please. Here's the difference of the advanced study tour and the main study tour. About the advanced study tour, we are going to head before the main conference during the August, and we spend around 3 or 4 days. We can visit one of the 6 spots I mentioned before, and in this tour, we are going to cooperate with the different association called International Student Association, stands for which can stand for ISA. And the main study tour, we are going to have it during the main conference, and we spend a day for the sightseeing inside of Tokyo. And every COBE member can plan where to go, or like where to go, or what we are going to eat. Yes. And here's the picture of what we did at advanced conference and the advanced study tour and the main study tour. I think you can pick up Min. You can find Min. And next one, let me explain about the role of advanced study tour. Next one, please. So the role of advanced study tour is a bit busy. So the first task we start from December. We are going to get contact with every branch's chiefs and try to negotiate with about the planning of the tour, or like whether we can gather the host family or not. And in February, we start to make plans and budget and with them, and spend around 3 months with 3 or 4 months to communicate with the different branches. And at the July, we are going to enjoy the tour, and finally we are going to make the report. Next slide, please. So let me explain that. Finally, let me explain that the ideal person. Next one, please. So ideal person is a person who can be contacted remotely and has a management skill, and if possible has a connection with ISA. And also, like, one thing I forgot to write about is that ISC member is mostly are Japanese, so like someone who can speak Japanese will be ideal. That's all for my presentation about the advanced study tour. Thank you for your listening.
All right. Thank you everybody for the presentation. And I'm very sorry to participants. We are going over time, we are aware of that, and we are trying to make the PowerPoint as fast as possible. But anyway, I hope that through these presentations, you have understood more about our activities and that some of you are even considering becoming a committee member next year. After today, Lan would send out the slides of the committee introductions to Slack, so please feel free to refer to them. So this will be the end of the committee introduction as well as the interim report altogether. And I'm sorry once again for the overtime. Those who have more questions regarding the roles in the committee are more than welcome to stay and talk with us after this. We will just stay for around like 10 minutes perhaps. If you have any preference of who you want to talk with, please type in the chat so that we can allocate you to the breakout room according to the role of the committee. All right.